Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. If you missed the last video, I'm back. That's what the video was about. But now we're back with news. And, you know, today being election day, so much news has been leading up to this day. Mainly news about a squirrel. Yeah. So that's what's been blowing up Twitter over the weekend and until today. So honestly, I had no knowledge of any of this. I just saw it trending. I'm like, why is everybody talking about a squirrel? So how about we take this journey of knowledge together and figure out what's going on? So to start, the simplest way, I just pulled up the Wikipedia page. Please chime in, let me know if anything sounds wrong, because I know with this being hot news at the moment, this page could easily be vandalized. All the news is about Peanut the squirrel. So this squirrel was rescued. Let's just look at the page here. Also known as Peanut, was a pet eastern gray squirrel that was the subject of a popular Instagram account. And I had to look that up. That Instagram account had over 500,000 followers. And that was just Instagram. I don't know about what else. I assume it was probably on TikTok, YouTube, whatever. That's a lot of people looking at a squirrel. Anyways, going back to the history. So he was a squirrel that was found and rescued in 2017 by Mark Longo after the squirrel's mother was killed by a car in New York City. And Longo sought a shelter for Peanut, but was unsuccessful, and he bottle fed the squirrel for the next 8 months before deciding that Peanut should be returned to the wild. And you probably know where that's going. He released the animal into his backyard, but about a day later, he found Peanut on his porch with half of its tail missing. So he said he opened the door, Peanut ran inside, and that was the last of Peanut's wildlife career. And so the animal lived under his care for 7 years in Connecticut. And during his time, that's when they created the Instagram account, sharing videos of Peanut. By October 2024, he amassed, like I was saying, over 500,000 followers. It's wild. It's nuts. Let's rewind just a bit. So in April 2023, he and his wife moved from Norwalk to upstate New York to found the Peanuts Freedom Farm Animal Sanctuary. They contributed half of the sanctuary's expenses, most of which was raised through Peanut's social media presence. That's cool. So according to them, the sanctuary had rescued over 300 animals by November of 2024. Wow. So here's where the controversy arises. A few days ago in October, so Peanut was taken along with a pet raccoon named Fred. Don't forget about Fred. Nobody's talking about Fred. People don't like raccoons as much as squirrels, apparently. So he was taken from his home, and it was by the government, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, following anonymous complaints. And government officials alleged that after a seizure, Peanut had bitten one of the personnel involved, and the pets were subsequently euthanized to test for rabies. That is an unfortunate thing. So, I mean, rabies is very much like trying to detect a witch. I mean, there's no way you can do it without dissecting the brain. So it's like, you know, you don't know if it's a witch unless you burn it, I guess. That's the analogy I'm trying to make there. Follow me. Anyways, it sounds like this whole thing was over paperwork. Like he didn't have a permit for, having a wild animal pet. That varies state to state. I know that's a whole thing. I watched a documentary years ago on Netflix about people have like snakes and alligators. You may remember the emotional support alligator. Check that in the old videos if you didn't see it. Unfortunately, I didn't have a very happy ending as we updated later. Similar outcome. Anyways, it sounds like the owner was trying to file the paperwork. Maybe it was after the fact. I don't know. I don't know much about what's going on. So please chime in and add your thoughts. I'd love to hear it. It sounds like it was like a 5-hour raid. They called it excessive force, and some of the things online were saying they had guns drawn, but busting down the doors, just to get a squirrel and a raccoon. Why not? And so he gave an interview to the New York Post, and he speculated that anonymous complaints were motivated by jealousy. That's one of the theories I did see on Twitter. And I know nothing about the history or what was going on with these accounts, but they believe somebody was jealous. They pointed to they've doxed a lady, and I'm not going to repeat that because that's beyond my scope of discussion here. But it sounded like they were saying she was jealous of the squirrel's social media following, and it was apparently behind this because why not? I mean, when you think about it, this is all so wild. And it just keeps getting wilder the more I read. So This next sentence, I saw this on Twitter as well. I was like, wait, what? And I think this is what led me to look at Wikipedia, because I'm like, all right, I need a concise summary of what's going on here. So the quote unquote dad of Peanut. So he had been running an OnlyFans account where he had called himself Peanut's dad and produced, I gotta be careful how I say it on YouTube, pornography. So Peanut's social media following was used to draw viewers to Longo's OnlyFans account, drawing in over 800 grand over 1 month. All right, that's a lot to unpack there. What Venn diagram has people looking at a squirrel and thinking, huh? And how did they cross promote that? It's like, hey, you like seeing where this squirrel stores his nuts for the winter? Head over to my OnlyFans to see where I store mine. And I laugh, but he made 800 grand in 1 month, so people must have been curious. I don't know what the guy looked like. Maybe that had something to do with it. Anyways, there was a lot of reactions. It's become a very polarizing political thing, because why not? What isn't? It's a freaking squirrel. Again, well, let me... I'm not making light of the squirrel. They should not have, in my opinion... I think there could have been ways to avoid euthanizing the squirrel and the raccoon. I mean, who's running this department? Freaking Boris and Natasha. We need to euthanize raccoon and squirrel. And then they throw a cartoon bomb at it, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I don't know the whole backstory here. Obviously, I've never wandered out in the yard and acted like a Disney princess with my arms outstretched and let all the wild animals climb upon me and see if they want to live inside. But based on the photos I've seen from social media, it looked like it was a pretty benign, it was a wild pet, but I mean, still, it's like, if you raised it from that age, probably they could have worked it out a better way other than euthanizing it. It's a shame. I mean, that any creature had to lose its life over Instagram, when you think about it. That's what it boils down to. And again, nobody's talking about the raccoon. Justice for Fred. And honestly, that makes me wonder if I've seen videos of Fred. I remember a lot of videos of somebody had like a pet raccoon eating Doritos or something like that. Maybe that's who that was. I don't know. I don't look at a lot of animal... Well, I don't look at Instagram at all, and I definitely don't look at a lot of animal accounts. So after doing a bit of reading, I mean, like I was just saying, it sounds like the whole thing was sparked by an anonymous complaint about rabies, which, don't get me wrong, that's a big deal. Like, you do not want rabies. That's something you have to treat immediately. And that's probably why they had to act sort of in the way they did. I feel like that could have been handled better. I mean, first and foremost, look at that. It's got a tiny cowboy hat. I think a tiny cowboy hat holds up in court. They didn't have to go after the squirrel and the raccoon could have been saved somehow, I'm sure. And they do say it bit somebody, but I don't know. I feel like if you're used to capturing wild animals, and again, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. Who knows? There could have been a scuffle. I would think you would have precautions exactly for that, especially if rabies are involved, like thick gloves, some sort of trap, maybe. I don't know, like a cage. The whole thing's just nuts. Store that one for the winter. But the thing, it sounds like it's all over paperwork. They apparently didn't have the right paperwork to have these pets, even though they had the conservation, so I'm a little confused on that. But at the end of the day, I mean, my thought is, say you've got a car. You're driving your car without a license, or maybe you don't have the car registered or insured, whatever. So you get pulled over. The police don't say, oh, you don't have proper paperwork. They don't pull you out of the car and drive it off a bridge or crash it into a wall. There's ways to sort this out without immediately, like, and smushing the brain open. So that's where we're at. Happy election day, I guess. So it's unfortunate. I hope the attention they get. I mean, I don't know who these people are. I hope they are using the sanctuary for good. I mean, we've got another Harambe moment here, so this will be talked about for years, I'm sure. And I hope if any good can come out of it, they can, protect some more animals, offer some sanctuary. Anyways, that's all I saw over the weekend, and I wanted to talk about it. So please sound off. I mean, let me know your opinions. I've never had a wild animal in my house, without having to shoo it out, but I haven't invited one in and kept it. So, did they do the right thing? Was everybody at fault? I don't know. I mean, again, look at the cowboy hat. Tiny cowboy hat. I think the squirrel is innocent. Anyways, that's where we're at. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Great to be back. Have fun. Be safe. Later.